Well, good evening.
Good evening.
We're live again.
Good evening, everybody.
And this is Connie Jones, Connie Jones Coaching and Counseling. And she is a licensed counselor, a therapist, a life and business coach. And last week we talked about the reasons why sometimes we don't hear from God.
Yes.
I hope you can hear us out there, of course. So I guess we can. It looks like we have a viewer, and we appreciate that. And this week we're talking about your blog post on the 3 causes of suffering.
Yes. Yes.
And
hopefully then at the end how to stop the suffering.
Right.
A little bit about how to do that.
What caused you to think about this list of 3 items?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Actually, we all, suffering is something that in our humanness that we all experience. And, I was actually, even though, and I'm a very strong Christian and come from a Christian perspective, I do study some Buddhist principles sometimes, I'm not of the the Buddhist religion or anything like that, but just I love the principles of it, and in mindfulness and in a lot of the things that I teach my clients, and really connecting with God and having to connect deeper with yourself. I'm always wanting to understand that better and wanting to know what keeps us from being able to feel and to experience the peace of God. And so I was actually been doing a lot of reading and read a lot of books about mindfulness and about detachment, and not from the standpoint of detaching like you're just nothing, but from a really being very present in your everyday experiences and really opening yourself to a deeper awareness of what is out there for you, and how everything really is connected, and how we can connect deeper to the Spirit, to the Holy Spirit, and to God, and to everything that He's created, rather than feeling so separate and imprisoned in our little small world.
Okay. So
that was the premise, and found some really kind of nailed it down to 3 main causes that I saw.
Okay.
That we fool ourselves in believing that we're living life and creating this existence that we want, when really we're just furthering our suffering.
Well, you mentioned predictability, something that we're comfortable with, and I guess suffering is a result when that changes.
Yes, because we all have our picture of how we want things to be, and how, if this is in place in my life and my picture looks like this, then I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to feel safe, and I'm going to feel comfortable if that is in place. If I and so we grasp onto things that are that we believe create our safety and our security and our comfort, and the world doesn't function like that.
Right.
All of the principles of our universe as God created it function dynamically. They function in flow. They function in fluidity. And I think I included in my blog a statement saying trying to grasp onto something in permanence is like trying to hold on to water. And because everything is changing all the time, and that's the beauty. Things are always shifting. Things are always growing. Everything is fluid. And if we don't shift with that, and if we don't adjust in that and roll with it and learn to go with flow, number one, we feel very frustrated,
right? And
then we oftentimes you can't experience the peace and the wisdom that the Holy Spirit brings us, because the Holy Spirit is in flow, and in several times in the Bible, many times in the Bible, and in a lot of Christian writings, the Holy Spirit has been compared to water, and and that's a flowing motion. And sometimes water, is going to rush, and sometimes water is going to flow softly, and sometimes it's going to be dammed up by things. And but it's always, water will find a way to flow. It will find a way to keep moving and be dynamic. And so it's those openings of fluidity and flow that if we can connect with that, then and get in that motion, then we can stay connected to the Holy Spirit. And
literally go with the flow.
Yes, literally go with the flow. Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
For those of you just joining in, we're talking about Connie's blog post, The 3 Causes of Suffering, and it is on her website, which is ConnieJonesCoaching.com. And our goal each week is that if you tune in, that you have read the blog post, and then we'll come and for the next I think it's like 6 weeks we're trying this out, and to discuss the blog post. So if you have questions, you can certainly type them in, and or suggestions or questions that to go along with what we're talking about here. Those are certainly welcome. We also have a free PDF download. If you'll send us a message on the Facebook page there with your email address, we will email you a link and a password to download the PDF, and you'll become one of the subscribers when more of those things become available.
Yes.
You also mentioned a third point, which is
well, actually, let me tell a little bit more about, expand on that a little bit, and why we're doing that. The point of those PDF downloads is to give a little bit more guidance in taking this information and making it more personalized in your life. And so what I've done is I've asked some questions to get people thinking at a different level about, okay, how are these principles, how are resisting these universal truths that I'm talking about, how is that furthering your suffering in your life and relating it to very specific aspects of your life where you may be grasping something, and to help you really think about doing that differently and viewing things differently. So I hope that you'll get these, email us, and we'll be glad to send you the PDF download. And on that, there's even a short meditation, guided meditation that you can do that will help in the practice of mindfulness and will help you go deeper so that you can connect. So I hope that you'll email and let me know so we can send you that.
We're all about removing the obstacles
yes.
of your connectedness. So this is the right place to look for answers.
Yes.
Which is a segue into your third point, which was looking for answers in the wrong places.
Yes.
Of course, I started to sing the song "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places," but that's anyway. So this, people look for happiness in the wrong places, and this becomes a further obstacle.
Yes,
Expand on that.
Well, and I talked a little bit about this last week, about that we're born into a world of pain. This we all are very aware about the pain that goes on in the world, and so we learn that our life living is going to be merely existing and seeking relief from pain. We're going to have to cope. We're going to have to survive in this life that feels really dangerous a lot of times, and feels like it's not safe, and it's not validating, and it's not encouraging and supportive a lot of times about in different circumstances. And so we settle for living a life in pain and then seeking relief from that pain, and we do that through distractions. I call them shiny metal objects, or it's that thing that this is going to keep me busy, this is going to give me some kind of pleasure, this is going to so that I don't have to deal with my discomfort inside. I don't have to deal with the feeling of almost being groundless at times when we don't have something keeping us busy. There's that, some people experience it like a, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to deal with these uncomfortable feelings. And some people just go into a deep place of loneliness. And some people don't stop long enough to ever experience that. They just
Flee.
stay busy. Yes, into the next distraction.
Right.
Or we, get caught up in addictions and or compulsions, which become addictions of different kinds. And in order to relieve the pain, or to relieve the uncomfortable feelings that we don't want to feel. And so we settle for a life of pain with relief and move into that vicious cycle of addiction and distraction, which is not, it's not life. It's not thriving. It's not, it's existing, and it's struggle. And which is just further suffering.
Right.
When we really are, when we can stop and be present and move through those places. I heard this one time, this little statement that was, and I'm a dog lover, so of course this really spoke to me, but it's sit, stay, and heal. HEAL. And so that is so foreign and counterintuitive to us, to sit in our feelings and to sit in, we want to do anything we can to avoid pain. And when really pain, if we allow it to come up in a wave and come out of us, is healing. And the pathway to peace is through our pain, not around our pain. And so it is oftentimes when we allow ourselves to stay in that feeling, and it may not even be a painful feeling, it may just be a uncomfortable feeling, a feeling of discomfort, a loneliness or a nothingness, that if we'll stay there in that a little bit longer, then that's where the healing comes. We sit, we stay, we heal, because it no longer has power over us. And so, but we just can't get past the vicious cycle of distraction and addiction.
Right.
To get to that next place of getting in the peace.
So much easier to run.
It is so much easier to run.
When I was taking equine therapy training, the illustration was used about the difference between predator and prey animals.
Oh, yes.
And a horse being a prey animal, they react differently to pain than predators do.
Absolutely.
Whereas predators run, horses push into
Come together. Absolutely. Yes. Right. They herd together and they stay, and they and horses are sentient beings. So I'm an animal lover, so I believe all animals have a soul and they're sentient beings, but horses in particular. And and so horses have an intuitive a feel for staying and feeling the energy and not running from. Right. They'll stay in it, and they will herd together and that's their way of coping. But
it's not natural to us.
It's not natural to us at all.
Yeah.
No, we run at the hint of any discomfort, and any feeling of change, any shift in emotion. It's like, ooh, I've got to do something to distract myself from that, rather than really pushing into it. And that's where, and I had this really amazing experience a couple of weeks ago that I'm sure a lot of you have experienced before. And in doing some sitting and I love to do it in nature. Love to sit outside and literally closing my eyes and sitting and just being present with my breathing and being present in my body and kind of settling in my body and sinking into my my seat. That when you sit there and you allow everything to get really still, there is actually you can move into another place of consciousness, and it's a whole other awareness. And it was like the birds got louder, and I could hear the wind, and I could hear every little sound around me. And it was this feeling of this softness that came and just enveloped me, and I felt connected with the world in a way that I had not felt connected before. And it was literally an opening of my heart to an awareness that there's love and support all around me at all times, and that's the presence of God. And but we cannot feel that, we cannot experience that until we are still. Right. It goes back to that he tells us over and over and over in his word, but my favorite is Psalm 46:10, be still and know. Mm-hmm. And those are those moments where we get still enough and quiet enough that we can hear the voice of God.
He wasn't in the wind, he wasn't in the thunder, he was in the still small voice.
He was in the still small voice. And so that's where that place of that it's an opening to love, and a whole new awareness. And that's why my coaching packages named the first one Awakening. I've got three packages, and so the first one, the basic package, is an awakening to a new understanding of yourself, an awakening to a new understanding of the world and the way the world functions, and an awakening to what is that dream inside? What is that desire deep inside, the seed, I call it, that God put in your heart that He wants to water? And but we have to become more present and stop running.
Right. So. And you don't have to do it alone.
No.
You can seek help.
Yes.
And that's we were designed to be in fellowship as the body, and to not be islands.
Absolutely.
And to work on finding that peace and finding that wholeness together.
Yes. And I'm so grateful that I had of course I didn't do it by myself, and still have a therapist that I work with, it's always pushing deeper, and I'm so grateful that I was taught how to do that. And a lot of times it's too hard to try to do on your own, to try to sit there for the first few times that you're doing this and make yourself sit through that. Sometimes you need, I started with guided meditation, with someone talking to me and talking me through it. I've started with doing some visualization, and so now I've progressed into being able to sit and force myself through those places. But it took me a long time to get to that point, and I needed guidance in that. So that's the work that I love helping people with, and that's great, and we appreciate what you do. Well, thank you.
And again, to get the PDF download, go to ConnieJonesCoaching.com. And actually, to get the PDF tonight, we would send us an email on the site, and we'll keep that up until tomorrow. Sending us a message there, and
through Facebook,
through the Facebook page, and we'll send you that PDF for free. And you'll also, once you get that password, you'll have access to the other things that come out, and then other offers and more information about Connie's coaching, because you don't have to be she's based in Peachtree City. You don't have to be in Peachtree City to participate in that. She does video conferencing, counseling over the phone.
Phone calls. Mm-hmm.
So anywhere there's internet connection,
yes,
you can have access.
Absolutely. So we are trying to get for anybody who just joined us, we are trying to get some additional information, some things that you can download to be able to help you apply these principles, the knowledge that I'm talking about tonight, apply them specifically to your life. And so I've got some really cool questions that will help you, be able to dive into specifically how you're maybe not applying these principles, or doing the other things that are kind of keeping you stuck in the suffering, so that we can begin to stop that suffering. And there's also a guided meditation at the end of the PDF download that will be something that you can use you can even record your voice and then replay it whenever you want to go into that place. So hopefully that'll be just extras for you. So I'll start doing that with every blog. It's include a download for you, for people.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I think we missed point number 2 on the, did we want to talk about?
Did we miss point number 2? Let's talk about point number 2.
You were just loving point 1 and 3 so much that we
did. We did. See, point number 2 is we separate ourselves from everything else, and what I did was I separated myself from point number 2.
That was just, you were just demonstrating the point.
See, I was waiting to see if you noticed, and then I was going, this was my segue.
Yes, exactly. And actually, you know what, we did, because I did talk about how we do separate, but there is another point that I want to talk about regarding point number 2, and that is this fixed idea of, which I talked about in the blog, the fixed idea that we have about ourselves, and which is so limiting. You know, we play roles in our lives, and we limit ourselves with those roles, and with that the vision of whoever we were told. And actually, I did a Heart Spark not too long ago on, and I love this because who were you before the world told you who you are, and or who the world needed you to be, or who the world wanted you to be. And so it's these roles that we learn. You know, this is who you're supposed to be, and this is what is going to make you valuable, and this gives you your worth. And that is so limiting when we cling to those fixed ideas that this is who I am, and it's, you know, and then when that doesn't pan out for us, or when we don't do so well in one area, or when we just can't be that today because our heart's telling us we need something else today, or we want something else, it's, or, you know, we get tired of you know, doing things that we're supposed to do rather than things that come out of our very soul. And so those fixed ideas about who we are and the roles that we play, and the you know, the image, the picture of who someone else needs us to be, or I've got to, my life has to look like this, or I have to act like this, or be like this in order to be worthy, or have arrived, or you know, and I'll you know, they're just very limiting. And I hear people speak their script. I call it their script. Speak their script that they've written for themselves a lot.
Sometimes people give us our script.
And sometimes people give us our script. Yes, absolutely. And oftentimes, most of the time, our scripts are based upon things that we do or don't do instead of who we are. And, you know, that's where that shame comes in. We are shamed and condemned, and we are told, well, you're a divorced person with kids, you know, and that becomes your identity, or you are a you know, single woman, and that becomes your identity, or you're a I'm just a mom becomes your identity. And that is so limiting to people, because God doesn't see us that way. God sees us as a masterpiece, and as a you know, there's so many, we're so complex as humans, and there's so many gifts that we have, but we fall into those fixed ideas and those roles that just you know, shut down our hearts a lot of times, and limit us so much. So
we begin to believe I was in a failed relationship, so I fail at relationships, and that becomes our script.
And then we continue to act that out. We continue to, if that's what we believe, then that's what we're going to create over and over and over. And so I work with people a lot with rewriting your script, and that's actually on the PDF. And I give you an opportunity to write some of those limiting fixed ideas about who you are and how you identify yourself. And then if you could change it and you would redefine who you are today, because every single day you have an opportunity to redefine who you are at every moment of every day.
Right.
And so if you allowed yourself to redefine who you are and you rewrote your script, what would that look like? And how would life be different for you? So, and that's just a powerful tool that we don't even realize is available to us.
That's great.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you have been my business coach, and
Yes.
I have taken that literally, and I now count 1, 3, 2
Yeah.
as the points on here. So
Yes.
just another
you
reason
go.
why we did that as we did tonight. But
There
it was
you
great,
go.
and I think it flowed nicely.
Oh yes,
So, yeah.
absolutely.
So thank you
Thank
so
you
much
guys
for being here, and
Yes.
we'll be back next week, and we may take
Absolutely.
things in alphanumeric order.
We'll
So,
try.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys. Bye.